So this is current up to July 1st.
July 7th.
From July 1st through July 7th,
Okay.
fiscal year, yeah, July 1st.
Okay.
Except that it does have, it was printed on July 7th, but your per diem checks for today are included in this already, but no other
That's why I was
bills.
asking, so that's what I'm
Yeah, I dated the checks, so they show on this report, so you could see budget-wise what's being spent, but no bills other than your mileage paid after July 7th.
Okay. Could I also make a motion to add something to the financials?
You can make a motion.
I'm looking
Yeah,
at
I'm
Anna
not-
on this one, I don't know.
Yeah, you make a motion, I'm not sure,
About the financials.
are you adding a cost to the financials
Yes.
that's been paid since July 1st?
Well, no, it was, Ms. Steinkamp in our discussion with me asked me to submit a travel voucher this morning for the normal reimbursement.
No, I told you for your motion, that's a different issue, I think. that
Yeah, we
comes
can't
up-
add anything, hadn't been
yeah.
paid yet, that hadn't been paid,
Well,
what you're talking about.
That comes up, under something separate, Friday.
Correct. Well, I was just gonna make a motion that, before we do that, we get a reaffirmation of the 2008, November, vote, unanimously approving me for it.
But
I can add it right here, it's in the financials.
That,
We're in the financials, so.
right, but the money that's in this budget is for this fiscal year, and you're asking for, from the 2008, 2009
Correct. I haven't submitted a
fiscal year?
voucher.
right.
So I just wanted to make sure that the reaffirmation of the board's November 11th meeting reflect that coming into the financials.
And I'm gonna turn to you on this.
Well, the board has already approved it, so it should
Well, I
have been
mean, yeah,
carried,
I mean,
it
the-
should have been carried over, and that's why it's not here.
Because
from
you
the-
never turned it.
But it's
down.
still carried over, it's still an item.
Did you turn in the voucher?
Well, I couldn't turn it in because of the very fact that Ms. Edmonds brought out some things that were trying to clip my mileage.
Well, no,
No, I wasn't trying,
No,
I'm
no,
simply
no,
reading.
wait, let me say this, just, because if you file it, if you feel that, you put on there what you think you're due. That, if you think you're due mileage, then go ahead and file it that way. If we can't pay it, or we can't pay all of it, then you would have a right of appeal for that. That is a DOA matter that we have to deal with. But we have to have that form before we can even discuss it.
Correct, but I was asking for a reaffirmation because based on what she told me the last meeting, that's why I'm bringing it up now.
Okay, all I can tell you is that
That's not gonna fall on
you,
this.
It's
no,
on the
no,
file.
but I mean, because that's a prior fiscal year. The
Correct.
problem is once you file it, and we have to determine whether or not we can still pay it. If not, then we're gonna give you that right, and you have a right to appeal to the board, and then it would be on the agenda for that.
But I asked for a reaffirmation of the November 11th, in November of 2008 unanimous vote to approve my
We
reimbursement.
don't need to, it's already on the record, I mean, no
The
one's
vote was
denying.
in 2008?
Yeah, it was a vote.
If
It was a-
the vote was in 2008 and he provides documents, you can put it in this year's budget.
Well, that's the thing, but it's never been carried over, and that's why I'm.
Yeah.
Because
but
we
you
have
don't-
to have the form, yeah.
Yeah, you have to turn in the documents.
If it's in 2008 and you just now turning in a voucher,
Correct.
how come you didn't turn it in 2008?
That's a good question. Well, for the last 15 months, I can tell you, because of Ms. Steinkamp, Ms. Edmonds' finding.
Wait,
No, I've not
How
kept you
did that
from
stop
filling
you
out a
from turning
form
in a
for-
voucher?
Well, because I had to substantiate some facts that she was claiming within her proposal.
You still have the original invoices and all that?
I have all of it. In fact, I have what she quoted to me, and I also have,
Freddie, just turn the voucher, then we can discuss it, but we can't discuss it without the voucher. For all I know, DOA is gonna say we can pay it, we already have something that says in the records that's approved.
correct, but that's not what Ms. Evans told me.
Well, you need to
So
turn it
that's why I'm making sure
in. Can you
that,
turn it in today?
well, no, I'm making sure before I turn it in, that this reaffirmation would be approved from November of 08. The point I'm making is what she told me when I asked about it, I was gonna turn it in, And she said something to me, so I went back and did some research, and I said, well, that's what I called you. But I can't turn it in when she's telling me that it has to be brought back for a board, before the board for approval. That's what her words to me at the end of this meeting, last meeting.
Well, Freddie, when you called me, I told you to bring it and turn it in before the meeting,
But here's the
turn in
thing.
your report.
You tell me one thing, she's telling me something else.
Okay.
I still don't
Ann and
understand,
I
Freddie,
both
why,
told
if
you.
you've got a
Excuse me one
voucher,
second.
turn your voucher in.
Excuse me one second. So that's what
Turn
caused
your
me,
voucher in.
that's what caused me to throw up the flag. Because what she said to me was a conflict of interest to, the board had to approve it all over again.
Because of the length of time that's gone.
Well, and we may have to, DOA may tell us that, you know, because they may tell us that we can't pay it because it's the lapse of time, because it's crossing a fiscal year. There's some strict rules.
That's why I brought up the reaffirmation.
We can't do it, doesn't matter. The travel occurred in 2008, and the reaffirmation doesn't change what the board approved in 2008. But the problem is it should have been turned in 2008, 2009 fiscal year. And now we have to determine from DOA, and they're telling us, I believe, that
They're advising that in order to protect me, that before I write a check, I have authority from the board to, one, pay you mileage over what an airfare would have cost, because airfare, they're saying, was cheaper than driving mileage. They're also saying that the travel recs say that your mileage form, your travel form should have been turned in within 30 days worth of 30 days after travel. So again, if I pay you, that could come back on me. The third thing is that because it is a different fiscal year, I myself don't have authorization to pay you from a prior fiscal year. So they recommended that I have the board approve the fact that it's been more than 30 days, the fact that you're requesting mileage, which is higher than the cost of an airfare ticket, and the third item, which is my mind is going blank.
Correct.
The
And that's why,
fiscal year.
correct, and that's why I went back, even though what you said was correct, it also had a allowance of, unless it was another statute that was in place. And we have a statute that in place.
Freddie,
that's-
I'm gonna bottom line this for you. You have to turn in the vouchers
Well,
before
no,
we can
not,
move forward.
but here's the thing.
No, you have to turn in the vouchers.
Ms.
He has a
Thacker,
right to speak.
well,
5 minutes.
Bird, be quiet, you're not on the
excuse me.
wait, all right.
First of all, I was speaking.
Go ahead, I apologize.
Okay,
Freddie.
and then
I was trying to save some time.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but this seems to be always the case when I go to speak, I don't interrupt no one else when they're speaking. I give them polite courtesy. I was making a statement to Ms. Edmonds, reimbursement. It says additional members may be reimbursed for actual necessary travel if there's another statute in place. Well, there is another statute in place, and that she did not go thorough enough to look into it and see it, and that's why I have it right here. And that's the thing that I bring to the board's attention.
Which statute?
The auctioneer statute.
Which statute? Which part of it?
Let me, that's, the, PPM, authorization statute.
Okay, that's not auctioneers, that's the
No, it's not,
DOA.
no, it's boards and commissions.
That's what I'm saying, is that's division.
The auctioneer statute, I think from what you showed me, Freddie's on the next page. Next page.
Yeah,
Did Mr. Burns prepare this for you? Maybe he can,
no,
we can recognize him and,
we don't have to recognize Mr. Burns, I have this folder to me,
okay.
and if you're insinuating that, then.
No, I
please
mean, he
state
was
that.
just telling you where it was. I thought he might can make it easier for us.
No, I have everything highlighted.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you wanna, I mean, is this some kind of slanderous personal attack?
No, I just, Mr. Burns said which
But-
pages, was telling us which pages. Was that true, Mr. Burns?
Yes, it's the next
And then I
page.
thought it might be helpful for him to help you.
Yes, but the 3111.
Okay, section of 3111, okay. That's the statute. We have reviewed that with the Legislative Auditor's Office and the Attorney General's Office. And they're telling, I believe us, that we have to still follow the travel regs.
But the
And
policy's in place.
and like I said, submit it, and that's an argument we can make to DOA. But I can't do it without the form being filed.
That's what I was trying to, explain, Freddie,
That we
can't
talked
go
to them,
forward.
but, you know, I can't do it without the form. They're saying there's no form, there's no request.
But Ms. Evans didn't quote that in her communication with me, so.
I've told you all along, that you have to have that form filed so that we can take it and get it approved,
Mr.
either by the
Burns.
board or DOA.
Okay, I rest there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I
Mr.
think,
Burns, you have a question?
well, you are recognizing me, huh?
I'm recognizing
Okay.
you. Do you have a-
Correct me if I'm wrong, Freddie, but I think all Freddie's asking for is that the board's not going to actively oppose him in these efforts. I think that,
Well-
correct me if I'm wrong,
Well,
but I think
that's
that's all he's asking.
Well, basically, at this point, I mean, the board has already voted.
Right.
I agree, but we can't, he's asking for some variations from the statute and regulations in place. And without the formal request in place, we cannot get that approved through all the different levels. We gotta go, legislative auditor's office may have an issue with it, they told us. The DOA has an issue with it, we've gotta get it, and the board has to actually see the form to be able to waive it. I can't do it without that form, and I don't know why we're still talking about it, because it was approved in 2008. It could have been paid then.
If you turn in the forms, that's what I was trying to say, not
Correct.
cut anybody off, I
But
was
this is
trying to
right.
just move us on. If you
Right,
turn
I
in the
understand.
forms, we'll deal with it. That's what I told you on the phone. Turn in the
Yes,
forms, we'll
but
deal
but I
with it.
informed you what I was told prior to, that's why I
Right,
brought
but,
this
and
up.
I'm telling you again, turn in the forms and we'll deal with it, but we can't reimburse on anything
I'm not
that
asking
we
for
don't.
reimbursement, man.
Okay, well, I just need you to turn in the
I just wanted to
forms.
make sure that this board was not gonna oppose what it did in 11.
Well, turn the form in and let's see. I mean, can you do that within the next 2 weeks? And so that we can go ahead and get it cleared before the September meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna go back to the approval of financials.
Right.
Okay, does anybody